So I want to just spend the next few minutes talking about what do we need to do to get back to that moral grounding. And this is some of the stuff God's been working on in my heart and things that I've been reading and learning and people I've been listening to. But I absolutely believe we are in a battle right now. And it's a battle for worldview. And a worldview, that's, people don't really know what that means. But what it is, it's kind of a lens of how we see things, how we view our life and our responsibilities, our worldview. And I see it pretty clearly over the last 50 years. That, our history of our country for almost a couple hundred years with strong commitment to the Bible, into Scripture, into character, into service, and the idea of a citizen legislature, where we all have our abilities that we come together, we provide benefit, we do our public service, and then we go back and be productive to society. That's how it went for years. And then something turned right around 1950 or so. It was actually, I think, 1947, where the Supreme Court made a decision of separation of church and state. That was something that had never really been talked about before. That idea in the Constitution was not to protect the state from the church, but to protect the church from the state. The Founding Fathers knew very clearly the danger of the state coming in and enforcing their will of saying, this is our church, you have to go to our church, you have to pay to our church. That's what England had done, and that was a big reason why they left England, was they wanted to have religious freedom. But our Supreme Court, at that point, turned it around and said, no, we need to protect government from church influence. And item by item by item, over the next 50 years, over 50 years, we've seen removal of the idea of God and character and morality from things that are important to us, from our schools, from our education for our kids. And we see it, education, where kids are taught from an early age that we aren't really valuable. We're just an accident. We're a bunch of cells that over billions of years just happen to kind of come together. And we're really no different than a blade of grass out there, or a cow that's walking by, or maybe not even really much different than a rock out there. But you know what? That's a vast difference from the idea of what Scripture teaches, that we have ultimate value because who has made us and whose image we've been made. Politics, we see that the faith of our Founding Fathers, which is so clear. I just was reading that of all the quotes of our Founding Fathers, I think it's 94% of quotes of Founding Fathers that we have listed have reference to Scripture. That's unbelievable. Over 90% of references, of written references, of quotes from our Founding Fathers tie back to the Bible, lessons that they've learned from Scripture. And many times it was direct quotes from Scripture that they were providing. Now that's completely wiped away. It's the thought that our Founding Fathers were deists. They had no relationship with God, no reason, that they didn't have any commitment that way. Other areas, culture, we've seen that everything now is turned around about what I can get for myself, how I can take care of myself, and we've seen that in politics, definitely, that public office is not an idea of service, but about how I can line my own pockets and how I can take care of my friends and family. And last, entertainment. I see video games that are coming out that really are training our kids to horrible things in the sake of entertainment, but really creating this mindset that it's all about you, it's what you want, it's what you need, you go get what you want, what you need, rather than going out and serving. So the world around us is seeking to find answers, and really whatever worldview that we decide that if we're going to follow, addresses 4 different questions that I think are important for us to recognize. And that, these real quick, it is, where did we come from? Why is there sin or suffering in the world? It's a big question people ask. Why is there suffering in the world? Is there any way out of this suffering? And what is my purpose? I really enjoyed reading through the statement of your statement here of faith for the church, Lord of Life. And even as I was thinking of the name of your church, Lord of Life, what a great name. I think sometimes we forget our own names that we have, and I just want to encourage you to remember your name. You have a wonderful name. It's not Lord of Life of my life on Sunday between 10 and noon. I'll let you be Lord of my life on Sunday between 10 and noon. It's Lord of life. Lord of your life. Boy, that's the challenge that I face every day, is having God be the Lord of my life. Jesus Christ be the Lord of my life. Every part of my life. Not segmented out, not compartmentalized, but realizing that it affects all of my life. So we see a misguided attempt by society to try and answer these questions in other ways. Naturalism says the cosmos is all that is and ever will be. So it's just the world around us. There's nothing that goes beyond this. Pragmatism says if it works for me and doesn't hurt other people, it's okay. Individualism says what matters is that I get mine and sounds a lot like some of our congressmen and elected officials, is that individualism focused. And then materialism. He who dies with the most toys wins, is something that we hear a lot about. And these are worldviews that people have, maybe spoken, maybe unspoken, but what you see of the worldview is it's how you live. It's the character that is the foundation from these things. So